What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk Live from UPMC Rooney Sports Complex here in the South Side as the Pittsburgh Steelers begin their run with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. I'm Noah Streckbine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts, and on a day like today, find all of our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. I'm here. Aaron Rodgers is also here practicing for the first time as a member of the Black and Gold. We've got his words, his highlights, Mason Rudolph conversations, Mike Tomlin's reactions, and so much more. We're diving into all of it. Plus, we'll answer all your questions as we do every single day. Jake, it was a chaotic circus here today. I will say that, and nothing shy of it. I have never seen chaos like this on the South Side ever. And I mean, Russell Wilson was here 365 days ago. Not even close to comparable. How you feeling, my friend? Hope your day a little calmer than mine.
Definitely was. Noah, I got nothing on my mind that is not Aaron Rodgers' first day with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You answered basically my first question off the introduction there, because everything that I was seeing, everything that I'm hearing, it sounded like today was a wild day over in the South Side, down the South Side in Pittsburgh. So you're out of the circus right now, at least a few feet. What were your first impressions of Aaron Rodgers, dude?
My man, it was chaos. My first impressions, I'll tell you the off the field first impressions before my on the field first impressions. I'll say this, all of the chaos that follows Aaron Rodgers that I think I don't know, try to downplay, at least in my head, all exists. It is all real. I've never seen more cameras. I've never seen more pit guys hanging out outside trying to get a look at Aaron Rodgers. I've never seen more random human beings at UPMC Rooney Sports Complex in my entire life. Not even close, to be honest with you. On the field, I thought Aaron Rodgers looked pretty good. And you're going to get 40 of those today. Everybody and their mother is going to be saying, oh, Aaron Rodgers looked pretty good. Aaron Rodgers looked pretty good. I'm going to be honest, that there's almost nothing that can impress you at mandatory minicamp or OTAs. It's football and helmets and shorts. He's 41 years old. He doesn't even need to be here, but he is. And the biggest thing that stood out to me was how quickly this guy released the football. And it was impressive because the Steelers haven't had anybody who could do that in quite some time. And if you're going to take away anything, you're going to take away the tangible stuff that you could look at right now. And, you got to see a little bit of it, but it just felt for the first time this entire spring, summer now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, there was a sense of calm, a sense of refreshment. It was finally as if this team was ready. It was the beginning of the year. What should have started 2 weeks ago started today with the Pittsburgh Steelers just being a complete football team. And you felt that. You felt that presence. You felt that organization. You felt that this team was finally, there were no more questions. It was no more sitting around going, why are we here? We don't even have a quarterback. And it was just, all right, quarterback's here. It's Aaron Rodgers. And I'll be honest, I don't think a single player, none of them, expected the circus that came with Aaron Rodgers, the crowd of media, the random pit guys and random people just hanging out, trying to get their eyes on practice. You could tell guys, you could see guys looking around, laughing, cracking jokes about the herd that followed Aaron at all times. I mean, this guy, he comes with a crowd like no other. And there's been some historic quarterbacks here. I think off the field was so mind-blowing to me today. On the field, I thought he looked pretty okay. Like, I honestly looked at Aaron Rodgers and a couple of things stood out. We'll dive into more detail here in a minute, but the total, the overall was like Aaron still throws the football pretty well. His release is wild fast, like crazy fast. And he seems to be a guy that everybody is very excited about, which, you didn't know how the reaction was going to be. You felt it was going to be positive, but you weren't 100%. It's very positive. I mean, Nick Herbig's face when asked, he's a linebacker, and when asked, "Hey, you got any thoughts on Aaron Rodgers?" He just looked and said, "Yeah, nothing. And nothing against Mason. I like Mason, but that's Aaron Rodgers." Everybody's like, yeah, thinking the same thing. So it was an impressive first day. I'll say that on all fronts with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think I've ever been here and seen so much at mandatory minicamp that I have seen today.
Yeah, I think you summed it up pretty well in the sense that it does feel like the season truly started today. The off season has hit the next phase of the cycle. We're now in the true preparation for the 2025 season, and it
Yeah.
all has to do with the fact that their starting quarterback is there. But it's crazy. I'm listening to you. I'm enthralled by all of this. I'm
Yes.
like, I'm almost like falling into the lore of Aaron Rodgers here. And you talk about how exciting it was, how crazy it was.
Yes.
Does it overshadow the fact that there wasn't like your star defensive player there?
I think it does. I think it
Crazy.
does. I think the fact that
Sounds
TJ's
like
not here is something to definitely keep an eye on. I don't expect this to be an issue. And just like Aaron Rodgers, TJ doesn't need to be here. Cam Hayward doesn't need to be here. This is not a team bonding, get to know the defense type of situation. TJ could walk in August 1st and everything will be just fine. There'll be no worries on that front. So, and Mike Tomlin said it. He said, "Mike, you worried about his future here?" No. Nobody is. I haven't talked to a single human being who's worried about TJ not being a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. Obviously, things could change, but I have a hard time thinking that they will. I just think this is normal contract negotiations with the superstar. They're trying to get themselves in a place where a deal could get done, and I don't think anybody is worried about it, but I do think it overshadows it with Aaron Rodgers because that's the spotlight. That's the guy who had all eyes on him all day long. Nobody cared about a single other thing. It was I made the joke earlier. Cam Hayward could have been playing safety today. Nobody would have known. Nobody would have had any idea that anything else would have happened outside of Aaron Rodgers. It was pretty nuts. I do some videos. I want to start with this highlights. I feel like that's important. Give everybody a little bit of a glance, give you a glance at kind of what was going on today on the South Side. I also apologize that there is no video because Kendrick Lamar played in the background the entire time. And, well, YouTube copyright doesn't let you do those things. Doesn't let you do those things. I'll say this, man. And you could see it in some of these fast. It's just, look at how quick the release is. It's impressive. This is the one part, and we'll get to this in a minute here, but the mobility, I think, is the one part that where we sit here today a little bit concerns me. It's the only part where I say this one's not on him if he does succeed or doesn't succeed because, well, he's 41 years old and that offensive line, but you could see how fast that release is. It's impressive. It's very impressive how quickly he gets rid of the football as he's moving through these things. More with the mobility here. This is the big one that I'm talking about as you're watching, just to kind of 41 coming off an Achilles. You never know. You never know what's going to come. But he did. He looked poised all day. What you don't see in these videos is that Aaron Rodgers took fourth string reps all day long. But I will say the mobility is the only part that in my eyes, as you watch that video, it looks like a 41-year-old quarterback, and a 41-year-old quarterback's not going to move like that. Does it worry me? Only in the sense of I don't know if the offensive line is going to be good enough to hold him up, and they're going to have to in that. But you watch that, does he look like a 41-year-old? Does he look like an old man throwing the football out there?
He, I will say the lower body did look a little bit like a 41-year-old.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I think that's the question looming on everybody's mind right now is how, he's 2 years removed now from that Achilles tear. He seemed to have responded very well to it in the 2024 season, just in terms of being able to play all 17 games. So, I'm hoping, I'm expecting, like probably Rodgers and the Steelers, that the strength is just a little bit more. He's a little stronger in the lower body here, but he's another year older. So you worry about the durability of that whole, ankle, lower body holding up. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think he looked pretty much as expected. I don't think it's a anything to knock or anything to criticize,
Yeah.
especially over a 2-minute clip there. But it's just nice to see him in the black and gold. It's nice to see him throwing the ball. And yeah, I think the closer we get to him actually taking game reps, the more the time and the release point and how quickly Rodgers is able to get rid of the ball once the pressure's on, that just continues to become a larger and larger question and something that the Steelers will have to prove going into the 25 season. But nothing
I agree.
crazy besides that.
No, I agree. And that's the thing is if Broderick's good, if Mason McCormick's good, if Zach Frazier continues to be a freak, if Troy Fautanu comes back strong, I don't care that Aaron Rodgers can't move. It doesn't bother me. He doesn't have to do anything. Throw the football. That's all he's here to do is throw the football. The offensive line's here to keep him upright and to make sure he doesn't get hit. But he is 41. You get hit at 41. It's a little bit different than getting hit at 35, or 25 or whatever. And you're gonna have to keep him upright. But I agree with you. He had this to say, and I think this is important as the next part of this conversation is that Aaron, stuck to his grounds the entire time of this was the time that I was supposed to be here, and I have he made it very clear he's got no regrets about missing OTAs, about anything that happened over the last couple of weeks. But he did address being a Steeler, signing with the Steelers, and why now is his best time. And I apologize for how far back I was. Again, 400 media people here. It was insane. It was like a herd of elephants walking from place to place. It was actually, I was nervous. I was going to text you halfway through practice and be like, hey, dude, you want to come tomorrow? Because I think I'm a little overwhelmed. I might need 24 hours to decompress after this. But this was Aaron after practice, speaking for the first time as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Aaron, what was the first day of practice like?
It was good. Good to be out here with the guys. Still learning the offense. But good to be in jersey and cleats again.
How long did it take you to acclimate with the offense?
I mean, those are two different things. The offense, it's a lot of the similar terms from the Shanahan offense, so I got a lot of stuff already booked. There's a couple new words and different things formationally, but I haven't figured out, in a couple weeks probably.
Aaron, you visited here over 70 days ago. What made now the right
70?
time? 70, yeah. It's been a little bit. What made now the right time to sign a deal and be here?
I was dealing with a lot of things in my personal life, and some things improved a little bit where I felt like I could fully be all in here with the guys. I had a great conversation with Mike throughout the entire process, and Omar. It was good to get that done.
Aaron, why was the Steelers the right fit for you?
I think it starts with Mike Tomlin. I've been a fan of his for a long time. There's a few iconic franchises in the NFL. I played for one of them for 18 years. This is another one of those. There's something special about, obviously, this area. So many great quarterbacks are from Pittsburgh. I feel like Pittsburgh has been a part of my career from the beginning. Playing for Mike McCarthy for 13 years, having Tommy Clements, depending on how old you are, as my quarterback coach forever. Don Capers, Kevin Green, Darren Perry, Ben McAdoo, Frank Signetti, Luke Getsy. I don't want to forget anybody, but a lot of Yinzers in my life.
I will say this. Aaron standing there with a Pittsburgh Steelers backdrop almost felt unbelievable for a minute there. It was the wind is so strong here at UPMC that my laptop almost just came flying at me on that one. But it almost felt like standing there. And that was my first reaction when he walked into the locker room. We were in the locker room this morning. It is trying to go here. It is definitely trying to take off as we sit here. He walked out of the sauna area and into the locker room. And I looked at him and like almost as if like, who's that guy? And I was like, that's Aaron Rodgers. That is not a sight I ever expected to see. I think any of us expected to see. He stands up there. He talks about why the Pittsburgh Steelers were it. Mike Tomlin's a heavy hand in that situation. He made that very, very clear that Mike Tomlin was a heavy hand in everything that went on. But also just that he's coming here and some things that stood out to me in his press conference, some big ones, I think, was that he wants to win, but he's playing football to have fun and to play football to enjoy it at this point in his career. And I think that's significant, but I also think that takes a lot of pressure off of a guy that I think everybody has a ton of pressure on where we sit right now. And also that he doesn't really know anything about this team or these players, but he's excited to learn that. So I'll ask two of those questions to you. Does it worry you at all that there is no I need to win a championship that is in the back of my head as I need to go out on top? And at the same time, does it also worry you that Aaron's coming into this and while the Pittsburgh Steelers sure as hell know him, he doesn't know them?
Yeah. So it's a bit of a worry, sure, but I think overall it is probably the best attitude and approach for the Steelers going into this season.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a sense of relieving that pressure from on the 2025 season. Yes, bringing in Aaron Rodgers is a big move. Even if you question whether it pushes them into contender status or not, where like I still have questions about for sure. But I think the fact of the matter is, yeah, I'm not too worried about it, even though it's not exactly what you want to hear, perhaps. And maybe it's someone wanted to hear. I'm sure that there are lots of people who wanted to hear, we're going all in. I'm going out in a blaze of glory. I'm going down, winning everything or die trying. I don't think they're going to exert less effort now into the 2025 season to be a winner, to be a contender. I just think it's obvious, it falls in line with the fact that Aaron Rodgers has taken time to decide whether he even wanted to play in the 2025 season. Obviously, personal matters were as impactful as just his desire to play. So I think when you're at that stage, it's hard to say authentically and honestly, I'm in it just to win and nothing else. Clearly he wants to play this, for one more year. He wants to have fun, and then whatever happens, happens. But that might not be the worst thing in the end for the Steelers, because, whatever happens, happens.
I agree. And it's a lot of it's not on him at the end of the day. So to come out here, I think the biggest thing, the worst thing he could have done is set the bar too high. And what I mean by that is, he's been here long enough where he said it. Somebody asked him and said, like, hey, for you, you've achieved a lot. Does that one last championship mean anything to you? Like, is it important? He said, yeah, but let's not act like I haven't done this before. And I think that's what he was trying to get there. What people will try to twist that into is, and I think that's what the question was trying to twist it into, to be honest with you. I'm on Aaron's side with this one, is, Aaron isn't all in on trying to win a Super Bowl. What I took it at is Aaron's been here so many times. He's had so much success in the NFL that he understands that it's June and he doesn't care about a Super Bowl. What he cares about is trying to learn where team meetings are. What he cares about is making sure that he knows every single player on the offense's name and every single playbook. And then come August and September, he'll worry about winning week 1 and week 2. And come February, he'll worry about winning a Super Bowl. But right now, he's got way too much on his plate and way too much to figure out to be caring about that right now. And I think that that's very significant, to be honest with you. And when it comes to him learning a new spot, I think that does spark some concern in me that, OTAs does get you adjusted a little bit and figured it out. And he, I hope, is sticking around a little bit longer to learn these things before taking off. I'd imagine he spends a couple more days here as he tries to get to the U.S. Open at least once,
Have to.
Have to. But overall, I agree with you. Like, I just think it's the right mindset to have as a 41-year-old veteran. Then there's the other side of this. And let me tell you, I feel a little bad for this interview, but it had to happen, obviously. Mike Tomlin, I asked him today, hey, do you anticipate a quarterback competition? Because while no one does, it is a looming question of what's going to happen. How's it going to go? His exact response to me was, I don't. And I said, okay, thanks. We both looked at each other like, he acknowledged I had to ask it. I acknowledged I knew what was coming. And then we just moved on. But Mason Rudolph spoke in the locker room afterwards, and he talked about Aaron, his reaction to the signing and everything that comes now for Mason Rudolph.
Move in this business, I assume they were going to bring someone in, get a player at the forefront of the conversation. So another day in the NFL, and you move on and you try to have a good. And you just make the most of your reps you're given.
Did you have that expectation even back when you signed initially? That he was kind of.
I knew there would be somebody. Absolutely, they go to camp and go to training camp with 4 quarterbacks, and I assume they pick one up in the draft and add another one.
It's a little different though when it's 41-year-old 4-time MVP versus. I don't want to say a normal free agent, but a
big
typical
name.
veteran.
Yeah, big name. It's storied career and Hall of Famer. Yeah, it's been fun to go to work with him for a couple days now. Learn about him. What can you learn from him? It's early, so it's just kind of getting to know him, and he's been very inquisitive about the offense and very friendly. So it's been fun.
All right, so as we went into that video, let me show you where I'm standing just about right now. Shout out to the train. That is 6 feet from me as we sit here today. It just decided, you know what? We're on a schedule, and all Steelers talk was running late, so we didn't have time to kill. How bad is the train behind me? Is it bad enough where I should mute myself?
Not at all.
Wow, really?
You should send this in to your microphone headquarters and be like, this is the absolute best advertisement for your product ever, because all I heard was your crisp voice over the waves, Noah.
Wow, that is nuts, because I'm not going to lie to you. I can't hear a word you're saying to me. That is how loud. It's insane. It's insane, actually, how loud the train is. All right, no quarterback competition, and as quickly as it came, it left. So shout out to Quick Trains here in the city of Pittsburgh, and the Pittsburgh Steelers building their practice facility right next door to the busiest train track in all of the United States. You look at no quarterback competition, doesn't surprise anybody. Is it worry you? Like, is there any part? I don't want to be negative. I feel like this is an exciting day for everybody, and I want it to stick. Like Aaron Rodgers has said he's getting married today. You know what I'm saying? Like that, or has been married. That's a massive shout out to Aaron. You know what I mean? Congratulations to the couple. I have no idea who his girlfriend is or his wife is, but shout out to Aaron. Does it worry you at all to have a Mason come in here? And I have my answer on this, but does it worry you at all that maybe, it's a little upsetting to Mason how things have gone once again and the dynamic in that room?
Honestly, no. And maybe this was me reading into that clip too quickly, but I'm going to do it anyways. That man looked relieved speaking about the situation.
Wow.
Maybe
Okay.
that's just me, but I think, again, like what stuck out to me is he said, I knew we were going to add someone else. So, it doesn't seem like he signed this deal, his 2-year contract a couple months ago. And they said, hey, you're the guy now. Thanks for coming back and giving us a second chance. We're pumped for this second opportunity for you. You're going to be QB1. It seems like he kind of confirmed, or at least confirmed enough for me, that the Steelers have been kind of open about, we're going to bring someone else in. There's going to be a competition. And if there's someone we like a heck of a lot more, we kind of reserve the right to name a starting quarterback that isn't Mason Rudolph. So, I think he said all the right things. He was, a perfect professional in that brief clip, and everything else I've seen him say so far about it has been very complimentary of both the situation for the team and of Aaron Rodgers. So, I'm not worried about the fact that there isn't going to be a competition. And I think it is honestly a benefit that it's established now. It's cemented now. We don't have to play the game of, can Mason take enough snaps in the preseason to earn number 1 reps or challenge Rodgers? We just know he's coming in here. He's the number 2. He's going to support Rodgers. And hopefully that is the ideal depth chart situation for the Steelers to have a successful season. So I think that's a good thing. It might not sound good for him, but I think this is a good thing for both Rudolph and the Steelers.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of I didn't take the relief part of it, but I do think that Mason is a guy that gives me almost no worry to cause issues. And while I think he is a little bit upset about the situation, he expected it to happen. I think the Steelers as a whole, this would have gotten way worse and maybe a bit nastier, or more concerning might be the word that I'm looking for, if it went deeper into the summer and Aaron was not around. If Aaron shows up for training camp and not mini camp, which goes across the board on a number of things, then, you know, you're looking at it going, yeah, maybe Mason, he got a little too comfortable in that situation. And maybe you feel a little bit worse for him as we move forward. But no, Mason does not worry me at all. And with that said, you got any other questions on Aaron Rodgers? Because that's everything on my agenda as we sit here today.
I mean, what kind of wedding ring was he wearing? Was he wearing a gold one like you and I do?
No, dude, he rocks a black one, which I gotta say, respect to the black wedding ring, because, and also respect to Brooke Pryor, who had the guts to just be like, is that an Oura ring or a wedding ring? And I was just like, wow, dude, we were way out in left field on this one, huh? That is a question for sure. But I will say, to keep it limited, I was nervous. Okay. You get 4 billion media members in one spot. And I'm not going to say I'm perfect. I'm far from it, but I knew I wasn't going to be the guy asking the off the wall question to Aaron Rodgers on day one, but I knew somebody was gonna. I figured we were getting 5 of them. I thought at some point COVID toe was coming into place. I thought we were getting, you know, questions about Joe Rogan's podcast. Instead, we just got the Oura ring. And I have to say, I was proud of the group of media that was there, because we are the most dramatic humans on the planet. That is what we do. To only ask about a wedding. So shout out to the Oura ring. And it was black.
Shout out. Brooke Pryor's incredible. Does incredible work.
All right. With that said, it's time to start answering questions. If you got them, toss them in the chat. We'll get to as many of them as we can. But first, we're going to take a quick break.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes Black and Gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
All righty. Shout out to our super chatters. Shout out to our members. Make sure to call in to tomorrow's show. I got to record it bright and early tomorrow because I have to be here for about 10:30-ish in the morning. So make sure that you guys call in tonight if you are calling in. And with that said, let's dive into it. Let's start with the one and the only. You see this bug on my?
I was going to say.
Did you see the bug on the? Look at
that. Oh, we got a
fan.
First time caller.
All right. Shout out to Marlon Lewis, the one and the only. I've trademarked Rodgers to DK 4 to 8 as business hours. I hope you actually did trademark that. That would be so awesome. Great shirt idea as well. So if you want to toss that our way and let us make them, you got a free shirt coming. You got 2 free shirts coming your way. So shout out to good old Marlon. I'd say you'd get a percentage, but I don't even know if we make money off t-shirts. So I can't say anything. You know, I have no idea how any of that works. So shout out to Marlon, man.
No one down in the strip already has that, like, or one of those t-shirt makers down there.
Do you think anybody in the strip has anything trademarked? That is
well, definitely not trademarked, but the shirt might already be there, you know?
It could be there. It could be there for sure. But all I do, my wife will ask me every time we're watching, because we have conversations about like, oh, I can't use this guy's the like names and likeliness and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I get family members, especially my wife, being like, oh, they're using it right there. And I'm like, they don't fault. There are no laws. This is the strip district. This is there's the black market of Pittsburgh Steelers t-shirts. That's what this is. So now we're good. I hope you did. 8 to 4 business hours. I kind of like that. Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, business hours. Artisanal Bully Kennel. I second the notion for business hours. I like this. I actually really like Aaron Rodgers too. Shout out to Marlon, man. We're gonna have to keep that one floating. Business hours is a fantastic nickname for Aaron Rodgers to DK. I'll try to pitch it tomorrow. See where it goes. We haven't talked to DK. I'm not gonna toss it out in a public setting, but I'll go up to him, because you gotta start small, otherwise somebody else is gonna grab it. You know what I'm saying? If Marlon's in the process of actually copywriting this, I gotta let him do his thing first before I just ruin your idea. So shout out to my man Marlon
For sure.
Project Wallace here, member for 4 months. Shout out. I'm going to the game in Dublin. Do you have any inside knowledge or suggestions on where to stay? They are playing at, I think it's like Croke Park or something. I'm way off on that one, maybe. But it's pretty close to downtown Dublin. I would stay in downtown Dublin. I'm staying in an Airbnb about 20 minutes from the stadium. But from what I've heard, as long as you stay near downtown Dublin, you're in a pretty good spot to get there. They're going down. I don't know when you're going down, Broderick, but they're going down, from what I understand, potentially Friday. So I don't think there's going to be much like Pittsburgh Steelers interactions going on. So you have pretty much the whole week to do your thing. But yeah, I've heard staying in downtown is a pretty safe bet to get where you need to get to the day of the game. Maddie here, does it speak volumes to you that he, as an Aaron Rodgers, is actively excited to work with Will Howard? To be honest with you, no. It doesn't really stand out a ton, only because, and I could be way off on this one, but to me, it's a 41-year-old, 20-year veteran quarterback, like, who's known to be a guy who works with younger guys and is a good mentor. Just kind of strikes me as like he knew what to say, and he knows how to go about this. I'm not saying he's not going to work with Will. He is going to work with Will. He's going to be a great mentor to Will. But that was my expectation going into it, was that that's who Aaron Rodgers was going to be in this situation.
For sure. Yeah. I think it was very nice and the way that Rodgers, characterized him as someone who seems like eager to learn and engage, and he's kind of diving all in, again, saying all of those really perfect things to compliment someone who is around them. It did strike me in a similar way to like the rose-colored glasses we all get in the new job. We find all of the best things about our coworkers, and we're like, you can't find this I've never met another quarterback who likes football before. So now it's a great time. But no, any endorsement for Will Howard as he progresses in his rookie year is nice. You just hope that it comes with something tangible on the field in terms of his development as well. So I like the start. Doesn't mean a ton to me today, first day of mandatory minicamp.
I agree. Marlon says he's not copywriting it. It's a fantastic idea, my friend. And with that, I will let.
So good.
I was trying to introduce myself to DK today. I didn't get the opportunity to do so in a different setting. I introduced myself to him the day of press conferences because, as you guys all remember, I was standing in this parking lot while he was talking in there because I just couldn't wait any longer. I had to do the podcast, did the podcast, went back in, caught him as he was walking out, got to introduce myself. I've grown the hair out quite a bit since then. So, probably look a little different. I've had like 3 sets of different teeth since that. So I feel like we're going to have to reintroduce ourselves. And with that, I will make sure he knows business hours is the official nickname of Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf. David Johnson, do you think the Steelers defensive line could be a top 5 unit in the NFL? I think it has the makings of it for sure. If Derek Harmon clicks, I expect a lot of Keanu Benton this season. If it all works out, I think the Steelers have the depth. I think they have the starting quality, like star power right up front. And I think they have the linebacker core to help it. But I look at the Steelers defensive front as a very deep unit, something they haven't been in a while. I would say yes. I don't know if you disagree. I don't know if I'm going to guarantee it. I don't know if they even start there, but I do think they have the depth and the star power at the front of the line, and Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, and Derek Harmon to have a shot to be up there.
Yes, if you were to guarantee it, I think I would have had a pretty harsh disagreement with you, but the pieces are certainly all there. I think what I loved hearing, especially today, was that Carl Dunbar kind of keyed in on what we've all talked about in terms of Keanu Benton just finishing plays and kind of getting that next level as well. So I think if we see something like that, we know they're going to be able to deflect passes at the line. Cam Hayward's excellent at it. Derek Harmon is going to be a dog at the line.
Yes.
So if they're able to also include quarterback pressures and making those plays behind the line of scrimmage, like they were setting up so many times, but were unable to make that actual play happen. If that does occur, yeah, I mean, I don't see how they aren't a top 5 defensive unit or defensive line unit in the NFL in 2025, but still too many questions to be like, take it to the bank today.
I agree. It's too early in the process, but on paper, I was just saying this today. On paper, the Steelers' offense, our defensive line, defensive front as a whole, looks really, really good. Like really, really good. Shout out to Egyptian Roughneck, a member for 4 months. If you guys want to become a member, do so by clicking the link in the description below. Can't thank you guys enough for being members. As we keeping it trucking here. This is Enigma After Dark. Let me tell you, my friend. Okay, you weren't here at the beginning of this. My man's name. Okay, friend of the show for sure. I TBD Enigma is my favorite name to pop. One of my favorite names to pop up every single day. Before that, it was Unlimited Moonballs because of Russell Wilson, which is such a fantastic name. And Enigma After Dark is just as top notch, my friend. Unbelievable name. I've been waiting for it. We are here. Shout out, my friend. Shout out, my friend. Unbelievable. Business hours is awesome. How about 8 to 4? The Rodgers dozen. I love that. I like that as well. That's smooth off the tongue right there. 8 to 4, the Rodgers dozen. I think we got 2 great candidates here for nicknames of Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf. I'll do this. I'm gonna toss business. I think business hours just looks so good on a shirt. I feel like, you know what I mean. If Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf both wore shirts every game that just said business hours, that's badass a little bit. The Rodgers dozen looks good too, though. That looks good too. I to be honest with you, 8 to 16 with Calvin Austin. Or not 16. 8 to what number's Calvin Austin? Why am I blanking 19? Here? 19. The Rodgers dozen. That also clicks. I think that also clicks. Fantastic. And let me tell you, Enigma After Dark, dude. Fantastic. And D Joe, we haven't had an update of how and where Jacob was when he found out about Aaron Rodgers signing. Also, Jacob, I think Noah has a recommendation of a backup generator for you. Yo, that's so awesome. That's so awesome. That's fantastic. Excited to see what camp brings. I'm also excited for it. I should have told you to go get it. It's in the shed. It's in the shed in the backyard. Yeah, you should have waited. It sounds like a train is running by at all times. And when your neighbor's house is 6 feet from yours, it's you're definitely the jerk in the neighborhood. But it's there if you need it. It was there if you need it. Gassed up, ready to go because the power came back on 12 hours later. But it's there. It's there, my friend.
I wish I was a quicker thinker.
Me too.
Yesterday, I just turned into a ghost and it was gone.
It was gone. I know that you did give us the story, but give us again of Aaron Rodgers and where you were when all that happened.
My sources on the ground. I was actually on an airplane coming back from Europe, and I decided to get some Wi-Fi because my wife was asleep and I could not sleep. And when I did, the first message I saw was from our favorite guy, Noah, and he told me that there was some pretty cool news shaping up down landside in Pittsburgh, and I immediately ran to the back of the plane to tell my mom because she loves the Steelers probably more than I do. So it was a great way to find out. It really made that 7-hour flight feel a lot quicker because I was like, as soon as we get down, there's work we got to do. So it was it was a good way to find out. Happy that it was Noah who delivered the news as well and kind of keep me in there. So it was pretty cool. It was a nice experience up there.
I'm glad it was. I actually did. I texted you live on the show. Actually, we were talking, like everybody was like, I was answering questions and we were going through me in the chat. And I was just like quietly on the side here texting you like, yo, I hope you see the news. This is the first thing you see when you land. So That's awesome. That's super awesome. SmackDown MJD still wondering what kind of wide receiver moves we make and who may be traded off the roster to acquire one. I don't think the Steelers trade anyone for a wide receiver. I think a wide receiver trade is likely to come if it's not a free agency signing. An acquisition is going to come. I don't think they give up anyone for it. I think it'll be a draft pick that they give up for it. I had the theory today, and I stick by it. Look at the Saints at some point are going to realize they're not good. And in that realization, they're going to start thinking, okay, we got to somewhat tank this year. And on top of that, we have to have enough draft picks to move up next year to go get potentially the number 1 pick in the draft. And you want to know how you do that? You trade Chris Olave for a 2nd-round pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I wouldn't rule him out. I wouldn't rule anybody out at this point. I do expect it to happen. What's your most realistic outcome as we sit here today? Gabe Davis was there, and Alan, I don't know if you heard the news of Alan Lazard. This is from Mike Florio, so believe it, don't believe it. Whatever your side of the line you stand on here. Doesn't want to play with Aaron Rodgers because he wants to establish himself at 30 years old as a wide receiver who could play without Aaron Rodgers, which makes no sense to me. But maybe off the market as well. What's your realistic outcome where we stand today?
I think every day that passes without some sort of big trade happening, like an Olave situation, like we've talked about before, I just think it's going to be a free agent addition. I don't think it's Gabe Davis anymore. I think someone like Amari Cooper or Keenan Allen become more and more likely. And I also think it's just as likely that nothing happens. I don't think it's the right move, but I am not going to be surprised week 1 if the wide receiver room looks pretty similar to how it looks right now in June. I think we are still anticipating a move for sure. I think it makes the most sense and would benefit the team more than letting this position group sit right now as it currently is. But I'm not 100% sold. I think it's most realistic and most likely right now that it's a free agent signing of a veteran or nothing at all.
Okay, so let me follow that one up here with Marlon Lewis. Will the Steelers look at Keenan Allen? Where do you put him on the list?
I think he's up there. I think he's more likely than any of the sort of trades that we've been talking about in the past couple of weeks, or that even I would love to project for the Steelers to make. I think Keenan Allen fits. My number 1 issue with him is he's just not a blocker, and he doesn't really impress me in terms of run blocking. So I think that whoever they bring in as the number 2 receiver has to either give the illusion of being a good run blocker or actually needs to be. And Keenan Allen, you're just dealing with a playmaking wide receiver, not someone who's going to jam you up at the line and help Jalen and Caleb Johnson, gain those yards after contact. So
I like that. I like that outlook there. I really do. I think that's an angle that nobody's really talked about, but pass blocking is so significant in Pittsburgh, and Roman Wilson's here. Robert Woods is here. DK Metcalf's here. They'd use another one, Ben Skoranek, but they want everybody to be on that. I like that outlook. I think that's one that maybe has been overlooked when we talk about the wide receiver, is that look for guys who will help in the run game, because that's where the Steelers are focused, where we sit here today. Gator McCluskey, I'm a Jets fan. First off, fantastic picture here. I'm a Jets fan who wanted to keep Rodgers. Year 2 after the Achilles injury should give you guys a better version of A-Rod. Hoping you go 1-16. Cheers. Wow. Shout out to Gator, my friend. Optimistic coming from the other side. I'm going to be honest, man. You're not going to get that same love from the Steelers side. It's not going to happen. Nobody's sitting around going, very few are sitting around going, man, I hope Justin Fields leads the Jets to a Super Bowl. I hope that happens. I've known Steelers fans my whole life. I don't think that you're going to get much of that, but shout out. I agree with you though. I look at it and maybe you feel the same way. Year 2 from an Achilles to me is, I'm not going to say a totally different A-Rod. He's 41 years old, but I do expect improvement. I do expect last year to be a year after an Achilles injury. And this is a full other year. And while his body's definitely in pain and he's not 100%, I have a hard time comparing any other year of his career to the one after he tore his Achilles. I just don't think it's I think it's maybe not night and day, but evening and day. It will say, because I don't think it's apples to apples.
Yeah, fair. I think that's totally fair. Yeah, I anticipate it being a stronger year for him just in terms of how he looks physically. So yeah, it's interesting to hear that sort of great sportsmanship from the Jets side, because Steelers fans hold grudges, and no one is really hoping or expecting Justin Fields to do much as a Jets quarterback. So, Gator, you're a better man than most.
I agree. I agree. Egyptian Roughneck here. Here's a fun one. Who's winning a foot race? Prime Ben Roethlisberger, prime Joe Flacco, or prime Tom Brady? Big Ben all
I
day.
was gonna say
All
that
day. Ben
easy.
moved. Ben moved. Like, Ben had prime Ben, dude, couldn't tie his shoes. Ben. Prime Ben. He was running. He got the name Big Ben. People thought he was going to retire 30 for a reason. This guy was not afraid to run head down straight India. I'd go Ben. I'd go Ben.
Yeah, I think it's easy. Yeah, Brady historically moved like molasses, and prime Flacco, I think never eclipsed a speed of 2.1 miles per hour in his NFL career. So
No, never.
I'm taking Big Ben in this prime for sure. That big mountain man moved fast.
I agree. Ed D, great name. How's Jack Sawyer looking? Haven't heard anything about him. It's tough to judge an outside linebacker at this point in the offseason. There's just no pads or physicality. You're just kind of looking at speed and burst and that kind of stuff. And all of it looks good. Jack Sawyer looks like a guy who's much bigger than I anticipated him being. He looks fast. He looks like his get off is strong, but again, it's mini camp, it's helmets and shorts. These guys don't hit anybody. So until you can see how well he could tackle and get through offensive tackles and disrupt plays, how quickly he gets off the line when there's a hard count on him, that kind of stuff is going to be big. But right now, I just think it's a little early. Ed D had another question, though. How many snaps do we anticipate him having this season? I'll toss that one to you. What's your role outlook for Jack Sawyer in year one?
Ooh, I think it's going to be lower than maybe Eddie is hoping for. Maybe I'm assuming his intention with the question, but I think Sawyer's going to get the majority of the snaps, which will be a relatively low number compared to the rest of the defense. He's going to get those snaps on special teams. I think he will be strictly a sort of relief edge rusher. So let's count him into maybe 10 to 15% of the defensive snaps at most if everything goes well. Injuries could obviously disrupt that, but I'm anticipating him being an active part of the special teams units and really trying to earn a roster spot, make a name for himself there, and then those more regular opportunities with the defensive unit will come from there. So not a ton. I think he's going to be a relatively low impact player on the defense in 2025.
All right, Nate Moore here. How is Peyton Wilson looking? Will he be a 3-down linebacker? I'll say Peyton Wilson looks a lot smoother than he did last year. Last year, he just looked fast, like real fast. This year, he looks natural. He looks bigger for sure. I anticipate him trying to be a 3-down linebacker, but I also think the Steelers like what they have in Cole Holcomb and Patrick Queen, and they want to be able to rotate those guys. And they want Patrick Queen's not old. Cole Holcomb, he's like getting near 30, but he's still young enough to be that guy. And I think the Steelers are going to look at all three of them and say, we have 3-down linebackers. We're going to rotate them. I do expect Peyton Wilson to be like the head honcho at some point by the end of this year. That's maybe a bold prediction or a hot take, but that's the outlook that I have on that kid. I think he's good. I think he's gotten so much better in the run game than he's been throughout his career by the end of last season. And if he could continue that trajectory, I got high hopes for him. He's looked good, but again, it's like Jack Sawyer. It's hard. But do you feel any differently about the 3-down linebacker?
No, I fully anticipate him taking that next step. I truly think he's the most talented inside linebacker that the Steelers have. It's just, is he taking that next step in 2025? Is he not going to be ready until 2026? But I think if he, shows a slightly improved ability to assess the play at the moment of action there, that I think he's going to be, moving up that depth chart and becoming the head honcho, to use your term, quicker than we think. I don't there's nothing right now in the opening day of mini camp or in the OTAs or anything like that that truly separates him from Queen or Holcomb or anyone like that right now. But I just think he's such a gamer, has such a deep set of tools on the defensive side of the ball, and he's young, so he's just got nothing but time to keep improving. So yeah, I see big things for Peyton Wilson, and I think becoming a 3-down linebacker is part of that.
Chris here. Are the Steelers making Watt play out the last year of his contract, or are they giving him a new one? He seems bitter as time goes on. I'll say this. I don't think TJ's bitter. I think he is fully understanding of where things are, and this is different. He's got to be a bit more aggressive. I don't even know if he's in Pittsburgh where we sit here today. But I don't think that there is such a slim chance. I've had so many conversations with sources about this situation. And while nobody's sitting around like guaranteeing anything, nobody, and I mean nobody, believes that TJ Watt is going to ever play for another football team other than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I expect him to get paid $41 million a year. That's what I'm guessing. And I think it's going to happen, but I don't think it's going to happen until closer to training camp. There's just no need for it. Don't the Steelers aren't sitting here going, oh man, TJ's not out there. Rats. Looks like we're just going to have to see more Nick Herbig and Jack Sawyer and see if they're good. They're super excited for it. I'm not worried yet. The Steelers aren't worried yet. And everybody I've spoken to is really not worried about the situation.
Yeah, I really don't think the Steelers care at all. And I don't particularly feel the same as Chris here. I don't necessarily think he's bitter right now. I think he's a new dad, and I think that the personal stuff, I mean, we're the Steelers as an organization are clearly being way more open to these players having personal lives, as they should, in my opinion. And I think maybe Watt, yes, he's very much embroiled in these contract negotiations. You have to do some tactics that don't necessarily have the best optics in order to get your goal of getting the most money. But I maintain the writing is on the wall here. That they're just trying to hammer out the exact amount of money that TJ Watt can get, and whether they can make it happen now or if he signs it at a later date, like we talked about on previous episodes about, certain contract, like when they're signing it will allow for different kinds of flexibility or lack thereof. So nothing about that has veered off course. Like that train going by Noah very quickly, it's just a small blip on the radar of distraction, and like things might not get done. A deal's getting done. It's just going to be how massive is the deal. And I think there's no hard feelings between the Steelers and TJ Watt right now.
I agree. I'll ask I was going to ask Jeff Hawthorne, but he's way too far away. Way too far away.
Sorry, Jeff.
Sorry, Jeff. Carl Spackler. Hey, Noah, I got a merch idea. How about a just as terrible towel, but just AST terrible? That's hilarious, actually. Here's my thing. I've run into trouble, which again leads me to the Strip District, how they sell just a billion different types of terrible towels. I've been advised that I might get in trouble for a terrible towel. That we might not. It might be a cease and desist of like, hey, this is very much so a terrible towel. So if not, fantastic idea, my friend. I'm all about it. Another just housekeeping question here. How's Nick's new gig? From everything I've heard, Nick's good. He's working his butt off. He's doing, I want to say like 3 or 4 podcasts where we sit today. The dude is on top of his own podcast. The guy's just grinded, my friend. Nick is a grinder, so shout out. He last time we were texting, he texted me about Rodgers, and then life has been chaotic. So we'll talk soon. But he's been good. From everything I've heard, he's enjoying his time over there, and I'm sure he's in the chat at some point. Pittsburgh Hornets
as usual too. Belsky's the man.
Pittsburgh Hornets. Steelers should sell bark flavored strips as jokes. What kind of barf jerky would you chew? Beech, birch, arch, or birch, oak, pine, maple, etc. Hilarious, and they 100% should. 100% should. Artisanal Bully Kennel here. Do you feel more reassured that Will Howard will unlock his potential now that Aaron Rodgers said that he'll be there step by step, day by day with him? Yes and no. I just don't know what. So my biggest thing with Will Howard is not can he reach his potential? It's what is his potential? I don't really know. He's a 6th round pick who didn't really play the greatest in college. And I just never looked at him as like a franchise quarterback throughout his college career or through the NFL draft process. I don't think the Steelers ever did either. They like him, certainly. I just don't know. I think I look at it more, maybe you feel differently, as what is Will Howard's potential, not can he reach it?
Yeah, I think I'm in the opposite boat of you where like I
Okay.
do see I see there is this huge, very tall ceiling in my mind of someone who could be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I just think that there are such noticeable issues before he gets there. And it doesn't make me the most confident that he's going to reach that potential. But I mean, there's just no doubting, at least from what I saw, there's no doubting that he has the physical makeups, that he has the drive, and that he has an ability to show off the arm sometimes and kind of move a little bit. Like he's shown at times that he could do a lot of things that your starting quarterback should be doing.
Yeah.
None of it is consistent enough to make you be like, okay, he just needs to learn for a year and then he can take over the team. It's all a huge question, similar to how it's Mason Rudolph was, honestly, as a rookie, where you're like, I can see it at times. I can see that there is something very strong and there's some skill sets that are really positive, but it's just very hard to envision it being a long-term starting quarterback right now. So I think the potential is there. I don't think he can reach it, even with Rodgers being there every step of the way right now. But if you're going to bet on anyone to kind of mentor you, I'd probably pick a 4-time MVP and Super Bowl winner to be in my corner. So
Certainly. I think this helps for sure. And I think that he's going to be like, look at, I think if Will Howard turned out to be great, awesome. I just don't know if he's ever going to get that opportunity because the Steelers are going to move on and get another quarterback beforehand. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. If Will looks like a stud at any point this season, it's a great thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's the best case scenario as we move forward. Big Joshua here. If the Steelers trade for Kyle Pitts, do you think they could convert him to a wide receiver instead of a tight end? Big guy like Mike Evans style. I don't know if he's fast enough. He's a fast dude, but I don't think he's wide receiver fast. I think if Kyle Pitts was in the right situation where he was used like a Travis Kelce instead of anything else, I think it could work. Like, I think Kyle Pitts has a ton of talent. If you could utilize him like an Eric Ebron, but you also have to use it as a cautionary tale because Eric Ebron was like the next generational tight end coming into the NFL. And yeah, he had a decent career, but like, he's not a Hall of Famer. And I think Kyle Pitts might end up being the same thing.
Oh, man, that's it. I love Kyle Pitts, but there's nothing about him at this point that is translatable to being a real wide receiver in the NFL right now. I think he would fit great in the Arthur Smith offense for sure. But yes. I mean, it sounds like, and I don't know if you caught this or if you were gonna if you mentioned this before, I do apologize, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers told Darnell Washington he reminds them of Mercedes Lewis. Yes. So I mean, if you have a guy who can bring that same sort of production, you have an excellent 2 tight end set in Pittsburgh, and you don't even have to expend any sort of assets to bring that player in. So do I feel the same? Probably not, but Rodgers is confident so far. So, I don't think Pitts could be a wide receiver, but I think maybe Darnell Washington could be Mercedes Lewis.
I agree with that. And I look at Mercedes Lewis I think his best season's like 600 yards. So
he's good.
Yeah. Like he's a guy that's dependable. And if that could be Darnell Washington, I'm all about it. Marlon Lewis here. Hey, Noah, Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers have a solid relationship. Do you expect better cohesion from the offense because of that? I do. I mean, I think the biggest thing here is that Arthur Smith and Russ didn't get along, and Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers clearly do. I think Aaron Rodgers understands I think Aaron Rodgers has been around long enough and has Aaron Rodgers is a guy that's never, like, people say like, oh, he gets guys fired. Yeah, but he's also got incredible relationships with all of his coaches throughout the year, like incredible relationships. So I just look at it and say, Aaron knows how to work with these guys. Sometimes, things don't work out, but Aaron knows how to work with these guys. And I expect the same with Arthur Smith. Like, I don't expect there to be any issues.
Yeah, I think the question with great players, and you can probably ask this across any sport, is whenever the pressure is higher, the consequences are often greater. So like, you could maybe make the argument that it wasn't necessarily Rodgers being a problem in the locker room that that cost someone their job in Green Bay or with or cost Salah his job with the Jets. It might have just been the fact that when you have a player that good and the results don't match, jobs get lost. It's the same way in any sport, I mean, the Pittsburgh Penguins fired the greatest coach in their team history.
Yes.
Because the two best players in the organization's history besides Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr have not won enough. It's not because Mike Sullivan suddenly became a bad coach. It's because with, great expectations come very harsh consequences. So, I don't necessarily buy that Rodgers was the reason all these coaches had trouble. I think them gelling is a good thing for the Steelers, but it's also not going to be the reason they win the AFC North or a playoff game or something like that.
I 100% agree. 100% agree. And there's people in the comments that are like, who did he get fired? I don't think he got anybody fired, but there's the stigma to him. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, Mike McCarthy, oh, Robert Saleh. Like, I don't agree with those things, but that's what people like to say. And we'll finish off with this one. How did DK Metcalf look today? I will say okay, so one of the Steelers PR members was standing next to me. We were just talking, and she's like, you know what, DK doesn't really stand out to me, size wise, like as a person. And I was standing there and I looked at her and I said, you're lying to yourself and everybody around you because he's massive. DK is freakishly large. He looks like Darnell Washington if Darnell Washington was ripped. It's crazy how big he is. He's so fast. Beanie Bishop at one point was covering him and tried to punch the ball out of his arm. And I just stood there laughing. Beanie looks like a small child next to DK Metcalf. This is crazy. He looks so good. It's again, shorts and helmets. He's catching passes from Skylar Thompson, but he looks so big. And there's no part of me that's worried about DK Metcalf not being good, but first impressions is that he instantly looks like the scariest person on the field, offensive player on the field. Outside of Isaac Seumalo, who has a new, he's got his hair all in braids instead of up, and nice. Yeah, terrifying. Absolutely. He's the scariest person I've ever met in my life. I'm going to be really honest with you. He never says a word ever. I think the offensive linemen are scared of him, but DK looks freakish, my friend. So impressive. Just as a natural human being, a freak athlete. So,
wow.
Yeah. Shout out to DK. He's got me excited. And we're going to talk to him tomorrow. There's another question out there of if the media talked to him today. No, he's set to talk tomorrow. And I'm excited to get to know DK, to be honest. I've heard good things about who he is as a person. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped to talk to him. All right. With that said, we're going to head out of here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk Live from Aaron Rodgers' first day as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, find all of mine and Jacob's work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. We'll be back tomorrow from day 2 of mandatory minicamp, probably coming live right from practice. Once again, we'll have stuff from DK, more on Aaron Rodgers, and everything else happening here at UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. With that said, enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg. Peace.